This is to the body of Christ. We need to stop treating prayer as an option in our services. Every genuine man of God should train his people how to. Jesus told us, he said, my house shall be called a house of prayer. So until people look at that church and say, if you're looking for prayer, if that's not what they say about your church, it means you're not within the vocabulary of the kingdom concept of prayer. You have found your own way to do ministry. You have found your own pattern. If people cannot say, if you want to pray, go to share the love. If that's not what they tame you for, you have found another pattern. There is no gospel like the gospel of faith. There is no gospel like that. It's called education. But within education, there is mathematics. Do you understand? There is English, there is biology, but all that is called what? Education. So a lot of us, when we do ministry, we take syllabuses in the kingdom. And then you form a ministry based on a syllabus, not the education of that kingdom. And that's why your ministry is always encouraging people. You can't form foundation on encouragement. That's what happens when you go to school. Let me ask you a question. Who has gone to school here, primary school, whether public or private? Can I ask you a question? When you went to school, did you go to school to only learn mathematics? No, answer me. Was it only English? Did you realize there are it's a combined syllabus? It's many types of classes that make you who you are. True or false? It's the same thing with the kingdom. You can't teach on faith and create foundation. You can't take deliverance and now form your ministry on deliverance. That's like telling your child to go to class 1 and only learn mathematics. So you will only be powerful when there is deliverance needed. But when there is leading of a nation, when God is looking for a king to make a president, you don't know that one. You only know how to remove Satan. Fine. After Satan has come out of that man, do you have the qualities to make that man after deliverance? That's what the danger of picking syllabuses in the kingdom. We need to go back to being holistic in our approach of the gospel. Holistic. I ask you a simple question. If your gospel is car and house and money, so what about a billionaire that sits in your midst? Because we don't know. Maybe there's one here. We don't know, or 2 or 10. It's not a big issue. So what will you tell that man that has achieved those things that are a prayer point for you without your God? What will you tell him? What gospel do you have to convince that Zachariah? That was the kind of gospel you are looking for. That a wealthy man can climb a tree just to listen to the words that are proceeding from the mouth of that man. What is that man saying? It means he was speaking something that he knew. Zachariah knew my money cannot buy it. This thing cannot be bought by money. Oh, what Jesus had. Ancient great men spoke and they came to hear of his voice. What he had, presidents and kings, they could not, a whole pilot, a governor, a leader of a nation could not have a fault on Jehovah. He even says, according to the constitution of Rome, we find no fault in this man. The words that Jesus was speaking was even touching governments. We are not holistic in our approach of the gospel. And it's because we lack prayer. What is prayer? Prayer is not you telling God. Prayer is you knowing God's will. It's in the place of prayer that God will tell you, I want you to run a nation. But if you don't pray, you will never know what God is saying, because God has limited his approach to his will through the system of prayer. This is why we tell you to pray. It's not so that you can tell God what you need. It's so that you can be able to pick his will. And the will of God can only be found by a man of